This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
When local growers put great food on Tennessee tables, that's living green. On the next Live Green Tennessee, we travel to the Urban Green Lab in Nashville, Tennessee. Next, we visit Horner Fiddles in Knoxville. And finally, we stop by Upcycled Garden Art in Granville. All this and more on the next Live Green Tennessee.
Pick Tennessee helps you find local farms and farmers markets, plus offers tips for choosing, using, and storing the fresh foods you buy. The Pick Tennessee mobile app is available now on iTunes and Google Play.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the Tennessee Channel, a statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcasted in Tennessee.
Hello, I'm Melinda Kiefer, and I'm proud to bring you stories from across our great state on Live Green, Tennessee. Urban Green Lab's mission is to facilitate a range of educational programs that inspire people to make sustainability a bigger part of their lives. With their new mobile lab, they travel to local schools in order to inspire a new generation of sustainability leaders.
What we're trying to do with Urban Green Lab is very special. We are trying to educate the community about sustainability, which is a very important issue in our city and in our world. And our entire mission is to improve health, community health, and well-being through sustainable living.
It's woven throughout all of Tennessee's state science standards, and so we want to add a relevant and authentic context for our students so that they understand that there actually is a purpose to what their teachers are telling them they need to learn in the classroom.
The Urban Green Lab is here today to work mainly with my 6th grade students. We want them to see and feel hands-on the environmental stewardship initiatives and to learn about the things that we've been learning about in the classroom from the textbook, but in a more hands-on and meaningful and relevant way.
Urban Green Lab started in 2009. We're a nonprofit organization based here in Nashville.
I joined Urban Green Lab in January of this year, and we launched the mobile lab in February. So it's a young project.
This lab, the mobile lab, which is our sustainable classroom on wheels, was created in February of this year. And in the spring, we went to about 27 different schools, reached about 2,400 students, engaging them in our interactive features in our classroom here to learn about sustainability, what it means in our city.
They reached out to all of the middle schools in the district, to the principals, and I shared that information with my teachers, and my 6th grade team was really excited and passionate about it and got together and said, Ms. Reinecker, we want to do this. And so I encouraged them to set that up and to make the arrangements.
We like to draw as many specific connections to a student's life, whether it's the breakfast they choose and where it might come from, or the energy use that their household goes through in a day. And so we're trying to really draw that context from the classroom to their own lives and make them understand the value of what they're getting in school.
They're coming out of a lesson talking about the lesson. They're talking about what they learned about, they're talking about what they saw, and they're remembering it. And that's what's important, is because no matter how great a lesson is, unless it becomes meaningful and internalized and important to that kid, they're not going to remember it. And if they don't remember it, they're not going to use it. So they've come out of the lab excited about what they've learned, talking to each other about the things that they did, and sometimes it starts by talking more about the playful pieces of it, but that's tying them to the academic pieces of it too.
Urban Green Lab's mobile lab goes out to the community about 2 or 3 times every week. And all of those students are from grades 5 through 12 here in mostly the MNPS, Metro Nashville Public School system. All of them come through here and engage in this educational experience and try to link what they're learning in science to their real life behaviors every day in their household and the communities.
Our goal in the mobile lab is to demonstrate sustainable features, and we want to give students the chance to put their hands on low cost and easy solutions for making their lives more energy efficient or money saving. So we show them a lot of features that range from things as simple as weather stripping that they could apply in their own homes to seal their windows, all the way up to a really elaborate but wonderful example of solar power with our panels on the roof. We have high efficiency LED lighting inside the lab and a number of other features that kids can really touch and identify as easy, simple, and affordable things that they could use to improve their sustainable choices in their own lives. When kids come up to the mobile lab, we get all kinds of reactions, but usually there's just this really incredible sense of awe. And once they come out of the lab, a lot of the students maintain that awe in terms of drawing those connection points between the classroom and their own lives and realizing that there's so much to be said for what they're learning in school, that it does matter. It can help them live a better life. It might help their family save some money along the way. And it's certainly going to help improve the Middle Tennessee community if they decide to make changes in their behavior that help improve our environment.
What we're looking to do is how do we build on this curriculum? I think for us, that means how do we get students and kids in the community to improve their strategies for making change and making better decisions? So how do we take that next step, that action step? Because right now, we need it more than ever. We're in a city, and Nashville is exploding in terms of its population. Also, we have a changing climate, and it's a global problem. And with those two problems together, more than ever, we need an organization like Urban Green Lab to address sustainable actions and make sure that we're actually making good decisions. So I think we need to make this curriculum come to life, and we're going to find ways to continue doing that.
From a block of wood to a fine-tuned instrument, we meet a man who's been perfecting fiddle making since 1948. Gene Horner tells us whether you call it a fiddle or a violin, he believes it's the most beautiful instrument.
If mankind ever made anything perfect, it was the fiddle. You can't change it. I don't care what kind of an engineer you are. Oh, you can make some old things, and paint them up red, white, and blue, and electrify them and all that stuff, but still, it's the same thing. And it's such a perfect shape. It's a thing of great beauty when you study it. And to bring it from a bunch of raw wood is a job. The fiddle, though, is such a fascinating thing. And it took me so long to find out what a good one was. My name is Gene Horner, and I've been making fiddles ever since about 1948. I started when I was about 15 years old. I got the idea, you might say. I didn't do much starting because I didn't know what I was doing. But I just blundered around in the dark for about 6 or 7 years. After about 10 years, I finally got one that I could see where I was on my way. I did try to play first, and I got to where I could, get out a little scrubby tune or two, but it didn't take me long to find out that I wasn't going to be very good, so I decided to put all of my time in on learning to make them. I was born right over there in that log cabin in 1933. Right in the heart of the Great Depression, and we all growed up so poor we must have invented the word, but we didn't know any better. That old fiddle of my grandfather's had laid around here. Us kids had managed to get it tore up, busted it around. It was just one day I just run across it, and I just thought that would be something to be able to play that thing, and I managed to get it back together. Got some strings put on it, and I ordered me a little pamphlet from a novelty house. I believe it cost 15 cents, how to play the violin. I didn't know any better, so I learned to play My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean on the thing, and I thought, It took me a pretty good while to even find a good book, and I finally did run across a couple of books. One of them was it had been around for, I guess, 100 years, Violin Making as It Was and Is, by Ed Herwin Allen. And then all down through the years, it was just trial and error and watch and look. I didn't even know what a good one was. I'd never seen nothing but just cheap instruments, that come out of a mail order catalog. That's about all anybody could afford. And even musicians playing them, they didn't know the difference in them. And it just took a long time, but I was enjoying it. That's the whole key to the whole thing, was I enjoyed the learning process and trying out different things. I always liked to make things from the day I could remember, like make little whirligigs and things, put them up, watch the wind blow in them. Since 1975, that's all I've done was musical instruments. I also made banjos, mandolins, made 6 violas, made 1 cello. I made 2 double basses, and that was a big job. Some people, it would make them feel a little more sophisticated, by calling it a violin, and it's all right, but it's still a fiddle. You could say violin, and that way you could jack the price up a little bit, But it's the same instrument. Fiddle being an English word and violin an Italian word. So there's your difference. But as far as the instrument itself, they're the same. If you're examining a fiddle, the first thing you look at is the back to see how pretty it is. The fronts are always the same. They always have a spruce top. This violin here is made out of European wood. I've got about 2 weeks in it, I guess. I'm not done yet. It'll take me about 2 weeks to get it done. But then it won't be completed. It'll take another 2 or 3 weeks to get the varnish on it. There's so many little cuts has to be made. You have to set up a machine to do a cut. Then you have another machine to do another cut, and another, and another, and another. And it's just a long process. To make that bunch of pegs there, you're looking at least 2 weeks, starting from raw wood. I generally carve the scroll first. A lot of makers don't even carve their scroll anymore. You can buy them already carved, cheaper than you can ever carve one. But I just always done it because I wanted to. I've been fortunate to know some really top-notch musicians, and some of them are even playing my instruments. One of the best ones I know of is Kenny Sears in Nashville. He's the band leader for the Time Jumpers band. I don't know if you ever heard of them or not, but they're a really up-and-coming band, and they played Carnegie Hall in October. He's one of the top fiddle players in Nashville. You have to make a lot of them and get people playing them. If people don't play them, you ain't got much. When they say, how much is that? I said, well, was you wanting to buy it? No, I wasn't wanting to buy it. I said, well, it don't make any difference what price it is. I sold my first one for $15. I'll give you that price. Sometimes I keep them just because I like the looks of them. They're just a beautiful piece of work. I save them for people that want something different, you know. My thoughts move towards doing a good job, and that was the biggest concern. And I just never did give it no thought. And then all of a sudden one day I decided I wished I knew how many I'd made. But it's too late now. And let somebody wonder about it someday.
Sustainable, beautiful, living art. That's what Upcycled Garden Art is all about. Lisa and Samantha find interesting containers and repurpose them as self-containing gardens. And whether they're making them for others or showing them how to make their own, they sure love sharing these great works of art with people.
We make garden art. Basically, we go and find things, whether it's driftwood or a teacup or maybe a rusty bucket. It could be anything. And then we put plants, either succulents in them or more moist gardens for ferns and moss and that kind of thing.
We like to go to yard sales and thrift stores like the Habitat Restore here in town. They're great. They have all kinds of neat things to upcycle into garden art. I'm always thinking about what the plant's going to look like in there. Like if I see that and I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool with some plants in it.
Samantha also makes some poly mushrooms that she puts in some of her gardens, and we also find little teeny things that we put in to decorate them.
All the attention to detail, all the little tiny different kinds of mosses you find, the tiny ferns, the smallest little snail shell, just the simplicity of it.
And particularly, we really like the moist gardens. We love moss. We like going in the woods and finding woodland plants. So we both grow a wide variety of indoor plants and outdoor perennials and that kind of thing. But when we're making the gardens, I think that we both have an affinity for the moss and the ferns.
Japanese painted ferns, those are probably my favorite ones to use because they multiply readily, you know, and they're pretty, really pretty. Lichen that grows on trees, I absolutely love that. That's one of my favorite things to put in there. Reindeer moss. It's kind of hard to find, but that's another one that I really like, and it's just so tiny and delicate.
I like to create a picture of something. So, in my mind, I'm kind of always looking at something as if I'm actually taking the picture, the photo. So I want it to be, if there's a photo of it, everything in there is just perfect. The details, that you can, Samantha and I, at the market have to mist our gardens to make sure that they stay moist and aren't dying out there outside, in the market. And just even that detail of like a little drop of water, on a piece of moss is just, to both of us, is just exquisite. Samantha and I met probably 4 or 5 years ago. We played roller derby for the Cookville roller derby team, and Samantha still plays. And we just discovered that we both really love plants. So we spent a lot of time together gardening and shopping for plants and that kind of thing. And then we had a couple events for Cookville roller derby where we made little gardens and offered them for, to be sold, and also a children's event at an Earth Day where they made their own gardens. And then I guess it was probably a little over a year ago, we committed to this year we were going to do something, and so we got a booth at the downtown Green Market in Cookeville.
I went to TTU and studied horticulture. I graduated in 2013, and I just always had an interest in the fairy gardens ever since they came out, I guess. I made one for a class project once, and then we've made some for bake sales before and sold them, and we both liked it, you know, and we're interested in it.
People like different things, so we try and make a wide variety of upcycled garden art to appeal to all kinds of people. There are many things that people throw away that can be used for a different reason or repurposed, and that's what Samantha and I try and do. We go to yard sales, thrift stores, and anything that we might find pretty. Samantha and I know that locally nobody's making garden art like we are, but we certainly researched on the internet and other people. You know, there are people that make fairy gardens, all types of small gardens, you know, that you can bring inside or leave outside. I think that what we find is that first and foremost is that we love the plants. That's, you know, we're coming from a plant. We love all the different plants and finding things and putting them together in unique ways and finding a little something, finding a way to put that, you know, in our gardens.
Fairy gardens are fairly cheap because most of the stuff you can just go gather in the woods, you know, if you wanted to make your own. And I have seen people selling it online, you know, the reindeer moss and all that stuff to buy, but it's hard to make any money if you have to buy it that way, you know. So it's better to just go scout it out and go moss hunting, as we call it, or fern hunting. I would like to keep doing this and maybe branch out even more, maybe do outdoor ones, outdoor fairy gardens. That's something I've been thinking about, trying to branch out and do, you know, do a couple of test ones and see how they go. And plants, growing plants, because I mean, I'm into horticulture, I've worked at nurseries, I'm all about plants, so I definitely want to do something with them. I'm just not sure what yet.
We're not really sure what we're going to do in the future. The farmers market downtown is wonderful, but it has a lot of regular people, and regulars aren't going to buy a garden planter every week. You know, we've talked about doing markets, but that's, you know, packing up and going away for several days, and I don't know. But I know that we know for sure that we're going to keep gardening, continue making these for now. Maybe find a spot at a nursery or even a garden, like a flower shop that might be willing to sell something that we're making. But we're still both fairly young, so who knows what we'll do.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Live Green Tennessee, where we take you all across the state into the farms and businesses of those who are making the move to eating fresh, living sustainably, and helping us all be more organic in our thinking and the way we live our lives as Tennesseans. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Live Green Tennessee.
If you would like more information about Live Green Tennessee, please visit our website at livegreentv.org, where you can find everything from healthy recipes to past episodes and more.
Pick Tennessee helps you find local farms and farmers markets, plus offers tips for choosing, using, and storing the fresh foods you buy. The Pick Tennessee mobile app is available now on iTunes and Google Play.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the Tennessee Channel. It's statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcasted in Tennessee. This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.